Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is my Hogwarts inspired card series, which I guess not really a series, I'm just doing one video, but I have 4 different cards. I am using the large stitched rectangle stackables as well as the Magic Picture Changer and the add-on. I'm using Mom Plus Me, Screen Time, Den Sweet Den, Baked with Love, Just Add Glitter, and Perfectly Wicked stamp sets. To save time, I did do a lot of the work off camera, which included die cutting the pieces, stamping the images on masking paper, and fussy cutting them out. Here I have my Magic Picture Changer add-on, and I have all of my little masks laid off on it so that I know roughly where I want everything. So I used that as a guide to start with, and I picked all of the things that I wanted in the very front, and I'm stamping them on each of the little panels. I have 4 of these in total. I have the little red tape there on the side and the bottom so that I can line everything up and it'll all be even. If you've never done any stamp masking before, you might find it a little bit challenging, but what I find is pretty easy is if you stamp everything on masking paper, cut them out, and then lay them down so you can kind of see whatever's on top should be stamped first. Oh, and here I'm just creating a quick mask because the boy's head was wider than the hat. So I didn't want his head poking out. That would look really strange. I am a big fan of lazy masking whenever possible. I don't mind if there's not a whole bunch of images, but like this one had a lot, and because I'm having to move them back and forth between a lot of different panels, this made things less sticky. So also because the colors I was inking everything in, it did kind of saturate the masks quite a bit. So by the time I got to the yellow one, which was the last one I did have to cut out an entire another set of masks. So that was kind of annoying, but in the end, I definitely think it was worth it. Now that I've stamped my little scene and masked it off, it doesn't really matter how the masks are laid down as long as all the images are covered up. So like you see the boy is in front of the hat. That won't matter. And here I have one of 4 of these panels that I am tracing the large die from the Magic Picture Changer die set onto. And I am only marking the first one off because I'm using my red tape as a guide here as well. And again, this gets done 4 times. Things get real repetitive, so if you keep them in the exact same spot, it helps a lot. Now I'm just going to repeat the process with the smaller die from the Magic Picture Changer die set. Now one of the things I knew I was going to have to do, which I would have liked to not have to do, but there just wasn't enough room on the main panel, was to stamp the other side of the shelf over the cauldron. I had to do this on all of the panels. Alright, now to one of the more fun parts for me, which is inking this brick stencil up. I am using, for this particular one, red in the center, and I'm trying to keep it fairly light, although I did get a little heavy-handed with my yellow, but I think that's due to my ink pad. And then I'm going to go in with hickory smoke around the edges. Now I have this front panel lightly taped to one of the Magic Picture Changer panels, and I'm going to just do the same. I'm going to line it up with the stitched rectangle and the second Magic Picture Changer panel. I will say I got Y's after the first one, which unfortunately you don't see because I inked those off camera. But if you ink up the large stitched rectangle with the Magic Picture Changer add-on, which is, the front piece, you don't have to add any more gray. Like, you won't have to line it back up where the gray lines up. So then you can just pop the Magic Picture Changer panels behind the opening, and you basically just have to use the color that you added in the center. So, like for this one, it would just be red. By the time I got to the second or third one, I realized that was a much better way to go. You know, I guess that's what happens when you make a card 4 times. Also, I did try to keep the ink a little bit cleaned up off the stencil so that I didn't smudge anything in a weird way. Like, I didn't want my red muddied with the gray. Now, quick color change onto the blue one. I am doing little swirls and star shapes or whatever behind the cupcake in the cauldron to make it look more magical. And then I made a mistake here. I decided to cut my panels before I colored them. So mistakes were made. Consequences were had. It's not quite as easy to color them when it's all cut apart. So I don't recommend that. In this case, I would say, do as I say, not as I do. I did not make this mistake with the other ones. So I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I was just rushing to get things done. At this point, it was already fairly late at night, and I had my nephew's birthday party to go to the next day at 10. So I didn't have a whole lot of time. And also, my C markers, they need some attention because I have several that are drying out pretty bad. Now, for my colors, I did keep almost everything exactly the same between the cards, unless it was something that would be specifically the particular house's color. So, like, all the shelves are the same, the cauldrons are the same, the spoon is the same, the owl is the same, the letters are the same, their robes are the same. I wanted it to look very much like a set of cards. I think figuring out the colors took the longest for me. I don't know what my deal was. I was afraid of the potion bottles because I haven't really colored them very much. I don't know. It should have been easy because all the blue card was going to get blue, and then whatever wooden and metal elements there was, it was all going to be the same. So I'm not really sure what my freak out was, but I kind of had some issues with that. And then after I got through the first card, it was pretty easy. I decided every cupcake was going to have the same color frosting. The cupcake wrapper would be each house's secondary color, and the sprinkles would be in the primary color for each of the houses. Coloring the scarves, of course, were super easy. You're just using the 2 house colors and coloring them accordingly. That was actually pretty satisfying for me. That's when I felt more confident when it came to what I was doing. Now, for the outfit, or robes I should say, I'm just using C markers. Like I said, my grays are a little poor right now. They're pretty dry. Not the C8 and C9, but the C5 definitely. So I have minimal colors to work with here. So I do take my C3 and I kind of try to blend out everything without actually needing it to be that light. And now you're probably thinking, what are you doing? That looks so weird. And the truth is, I had colored the green one, and I accidentally colored the hat green. And then I colored over it with my C markers, and I kind of liked the green tint that it gave the gray. So I decided to do that for all of them so that they would all look the same. Now, another thing I kept the exact same is the little boy. I had contemplated making each one look slightly different. Instead, I colored them all to somewhat resemble my nephew. Also, my E27, drying out as well. It's getting gummy, and yeah, I need to do something about that. That was pain. Now, for the pages of the book, the little Hogwarts letters, and the owl, I'm using that same E41 marker, and then I'm keeping the details on the owl very simple. Now, I had a mistake when I stamped the books and the owl. There was a space between them that shouldn't have been there. That was pretty easy to fix. I just used a Copic Safe marker and drew in some lines to make it look like another book was there. Now, another thing I did, if you'd notice on my cards, I have made anything that was 2 colors be the two house colors for that particular house. So that's why that book was blue and kind of a bronze color. Initially, it even felt a little weird to make everything basically the same two colors because that's not really how things are. I mean, unless you have a super matchy house, in which case I would like to see it because I like things to match, but my stuff doesn't match that well. Now, another exciting point for me was trying to put the magic picture changer together. I just wanted to see if things would line up well and how it would all look together. And I can say mine is not perfect, especially the shelf on the back magic picture changer panel. It's fine. I just added a little bit of that same brown at the bottom of it after, which you'll see. Also, I used some anti-static powder on both of the panels so they slide together a little bit more. And now here, I don't know why. I think it was just because I was getting tired and it was so late. I struggled putting these little pieces in there. It's not that hard, I promise. I just make it look difficult. And now that everything is together, looking good, I can put my little handle on. And this one came from the Magic Picture Changer die set, not the add-on. And I just colored it using the colors that I've already used in the card. Next, I have this scripty birthday die from Fawn. And I have cut it out of both white and black cardstock. I also have this Fairy Friends stamp set, and I'm going to stamp "Have a Magical" at the top. And then I'm going to finish the sentiment with the scripty birthday. First, I'm going to adhere my little panel on. I'm sticking that underneath my mat to try to keep the panel together so the liquid glue can dry. Now, for the word birthday, I'm just using my Copics in the same colors that I've already used. And I'm just giving it a little bit of, I can never remember, is it gradient or ombre? Ombre? I think. Anyway, I'm doing it lighter at the top and darker at the bottom. I just thought that would make it look more interesting. And then I am going to slightly offset the black die cut just a little bit so that it looks like a drop shadow. And I'm going to adhere that to my card. Of course, you can't forget the tittle. I was so afraid I was going to lose those and have to figure something else out. I was not going to cut that die a bunch of times just for the dots. And here's what it looks like. Oh, and you can see the little red and green scribbles next to my hand. Yeah, I totally colored that blue one on paper, like I didn't color the other ones on my mat directly. But anyway, here is a look at the rest of my cards. And I also made the envelope. That one didn't really get shown with the blue one because the blue one went in that one. But this was a fun card series to make. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will be back with another video soon. Bye!